Hey everybody, this is Perch. A couple of you have been asking me, hey, how well is DC K.O doing? And it's a little early to say. The first issue did report highest sales in October. As you've heard in other videos, that may be a little misleading, at least, in this one, it's a fairly safe bet, given the variant covers, given the exclusives are going into shops, and all the rest. It's a fairly safe bet it finished at the top. But again, the misleading part is just that the sample size that the people who are reporting those stats are using is small, about 100 shops out of 2,000 plus. So it's not a great sample size. But that said, it's clearly doing well, probably clearly in the top, if not the top book for October. Now, it remains to be seen how well the tie-ins and the crossovers will do. I'm not saying this to kind of poo-poo it. I'm just saying it's early. But as I was getting ready to kind of go through my thoughts on the event and kind of where it was going to go and how well it would sell and all the rest, it dawned on me that for several of you, you are not reading this event. You have no real idea of what it is other than maybe what you read on X or Blue Sky. Probably not that last one. Maybe, who knows? Or Reddit, or other videos that tend to be a little misleading as to what this event is. So what I'm going to do in this video is just explain the premise more than anything, kind of without judgment. Just this is what this thing is supposed to be. And, we'll see if you like this and it helps summarize this if you're not following this event closely. So to give you a sense of it, I mean, in my language, DC K.O is really this year's event for DC. We had Absolute Power here, late last year? Anyway, that was the last one. And DC K.O is the next big one. Now, this one is being written by Scott Snyder, and Josh Williamson is doing a lot of the tie-ins and other things. I think it would be safe to say that Snyder is the big architect of this event. Williamson is a partner. I'm sure he is giving some ideas and kind of weighing in on it. But this feels like Snyder's baby, with Williamson helping a lot. Basically, you had All In as a basic marketing kind of flagship event. This led to the Absolute Universe, which has been going on for about a year now. And then you have this DC K.O. Now, what is DC K.O? Basically, the idea or the beats that got us here is K.O is a tournament. And for those of you who are asking me, hey, how well is it doing? How well is the fan reaction? I guess I would insert at this moment that tournaments tend to do fairly well. People like them. They like them in whatever the genre is. Tournaments are popular. And, so I think it's a reasonably safe bet. The challenge with comics is that tournaments are often kind of silly or pointless. Marvel has done them in the past, and it's a tournament of champions. Even the Marvel DC to some extent was a tournament. That was more like, characters fighting each other. This one's a true tournament with a bracket. But generally they're people like them, but there are no real stakes to them. It's not clear why people are fighting. It's some contrived reason. In this one, there's a much more, firm reason why all this is happening. So to summarize it in my own words, the basic idea is that Darkseid has been collecting energy. He's basically been able to bend this absolute universe to be his, a world where evil wins, a world where evil is at the center of things. He's got the legion of superheroes at his command, which are chasing kind of his various wishes through time. And the Time Trapper, who is Doomsday, along with Booster Gold, and they come back and they tell the heroes, hey, look, Darkseid is going to win. We've looked, in the near future, Darkseid's going to come. He's going to destroy the planet. The heart of apocalypse is here in Earth. It is terraforming the Earth, or about to become this kind of, new NEAU version of apocalypse. And so you're going to lose. It is the planet Earth is dying. You got to get the people out of here, and Darkseid's going to come back. He will destroy everything. We've looked at the future. You're definitely going to lose. And so what is necessary is to do this tournament. And through the course of the tournament, Omega energy is being generated from the fights. And there's a comic booky reason for this, but basically it's the plot device to get these characters fighting. Why would you fight? Basically Omega energy gets generated, and then at the conclusion of the tournament, the person who wins will be crowned kind of King Omega. And that is the basically the best shot the heroes have to defeating Darkseid. And that's that and that's it. The only path forward is through this tournament. So um that's the premise behind all this. Now, in the tournament itself, we have a number of different battles. The other thing, I guess, that's important here is in the first book, with the Road to KO, or I forget what they call it now. But anyway, in the lead up book, and in KO number one, the idea was that the heroes were just going to do this, but the villains kind of crashed the party a little bit, and so now it's a true tournament that includes villains as well. And the idea there is, hey, if somebody like the Joker gets hold of it becomes King Omega. Are they going to save the planet, or are they going to make matters worse? What would be worse, an Omega powered Joker or Darkseid? What would that be like? So the heroes are fighting kind of on two fronts. They're fighting each other for this tournament. They're fighting what may be an impossible battle to defeat Darkseid. And on top of that, they've got villains in there who want to wield the power for their own ends, maybe to help the Earth, who knows. So you got to have you have a battle on multiple fronts. So the basically 32 fighters get identified, and we get Superman versus Giganta, Captain Atom versus Power Girl, Guy Gardner versus Firestorm, Jay Garrick versus Cheetah, Aquaman versus King Shark. That's a little on the nose, but okay. Connor Hawk versus Hawkman, Lex Luthor versus Black Lightning, The Demon versus Supergirl, Wonder Woman versus Starro, Lobo versus Plastic Man, Swamp Thing versus Vixen, Cyborg versus Batwoman, Batman versus Star Sapphire, Red Hood versus Damian Wayne, Zatanna versus Barda, and Harley Quinn versus Metamorpho. And that's the basic state. Now, in KO number one, we see some deaths, and deaths is kind of in quotes here because it's maybe not the true death, or anyway, the things will get undone. So it's not like we already saw a little bit of that with the night fight that we have with Batman, but basically Blue Beetle, the Jamie Reeves version, Batman himself, Bruce Wayne, and Green Lantern, the Hal Jordan version, were eliminated in issue one from this tournament. Some of this was when the villains crashed the party and inserted themselves into the tournament. So that's a little bit of what's going on. So that's the idea. The basic plot leads to what I forget what DC has called it, but the basically the new status quo after this one, where DC is going to focus on some new characters and kind of bring some characters who have been on the shelf for a while back in with a new creative team, and hopefully kind of kickstart their world a little bit. So, throughout all this, as I said, the Heart of Apocalypse is in Earth. It's terraforming Earth. The Titans, in their tie-in issue, basically led the charge to get all the billions of people on Earth onto basically lifeboats out of there, and so they've evacuated the Earth because the Earth is being kind of destroyed. Now, throughout all this, it's been kind of referred to informally and formally that this is a Superman-themed event. That Superman, we've had, I think in Snyder's words, Metal was a Batman-themed event. Dark Metal was a Wonder Woman-themed event. Didn't necessarily feel that way, by the way, but it was meant to be. And then this KO is a Superman-themed event. And so the idea is, who will rise, who will win the tournament, who will fight Darkseid as King Omega, will the payoff be worth it, and what does the world look like afterward, how they put everything back inside the bottle. So that's basically what we've got. It's done well. I think the sales, as I said, have gone up. People are naturally predisposed to want to like tournaments. So I think that has got people's interest up. And in general, nothing wrong with this. If I'm kind of picking at what I think the problem of this thing will be, it's the payoff. The payoff has to be as big as the event. And if you think about it, you've got this, this series with all these tie-ins for the tournament itself and all these fights and heroes falling, your favorites winning or losing or whatever it happens to be. And there's going to be a lot of comics devoted to that. And then you're going to have the big battle between the King Omega, whoever wins the tournament, presumably Superman, but who knows, fighting Darkseid. And that will feel short compared to the tournament itself. If you catch my meaning, you have hundreds of pages of comics devoted to this tournament in the lead up, and then you're going to have a climactic battle that will be 20 pages, 30 pages. To me, that's the flaw in the making, because we've seen that with Dark Metal and some of the other events. We see a lot of lead up, and then we see kind of, the big final battle gets done in a hurry. So when you're putting in all this work to lead to the status quo, and then it's like, meh, that to me is the problem they have to come across. But look, at the end of the day, sales are sales, and we want sales. So yeah, nothing at all wrong with this. And if it leads to more sales, I think that's awesome. So here's hoping. I would like to. I would certainly like to see a revitalized DC. So if this is leading to that, then more power to it. But that's at the point. I don't have a take really beyond that. I've read the comics. I've actually read them. They are fine. We haven't really got to the meat of the story yet. So I think the next 2 issues or so of KO is really going to tell the story of how this is going. The setup is, big and outlandish, and if you think too hard, has plenty of holes in it. But that's kind of comics to some extent. So let's see where it goes, and let's see how these battles land. Anyway, are you reading this? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, of course. And thanks for listening.